there's a mystery religions never wanted to place on the same table. The God who taught, and the angel who illuminated. The one who opened the human eye, and the one punished for doing it. In Sumeria they called him Enki, the master of wisdom, the protector of humankind, the one who revealed what the gods wanted to hide. And thousands of years later, the same figure appears with another name, Lucifer, the bringer of light, the one who awakens, who reveals, who breaks the silence of heaven. Two different names, two separate cultures, but one same crime, giving knowledge to humanity. Coders. What if the supposed enemy of heaven was also humanity's only ally? What if the bringer of light was never a traitor, but the forbidden master of creation? Maybe it sounds insane. Maybe it sounds impossible. But let's set aside what we were told to believe, what the world repeats without thinking, and that ancient fear that turned these topics into taboo, forbidden, sinful. If you are someone who doesn't settle for inherited answers, if you need to see, compare, and think for yourself, then welcome. Join us as we study this theory, as we uncover what others are afraid to look at. And afterward, you will draw your own conclusions, because truth does not fear questions.
The archetype of the light bearer, coders. Across every culture, in every civilization that looked up to the sky searching for answers, the same figure always appears. A being who does not descend to punish, nor to dominate, nor to demand worship, but to teach. The giver of fire, the hidden master, the messenger who brings what the gods wanted forbidden, the light of knowledge. In Sumeria they called him Enki, in Greece, Prometheus. In early biblical tradition, the morning star, the bringer of light. Different names, different myths, but the same essence, a being who awakens humanity, and for that very reason is declared an enemy of heaven. Today, we will look at this archetype without fear, the forbidden master, the punished illuminator, the one who opened humanity's eyes and changed our species forever.
Enki in Sumerian mythology, coders. In ancient Sumeria, when the first sacred cities awakened along the rivers of the Euphrates and Tigris, there existed a god unlike any other, Enki, lord of the deep waters, guardian of magic, master of wisdom. And this is not a modern interpretation. The tablets say it literally. In the Sumerian work Enki and the World Order, translated by Samuel Noah Kramer, Enki is described as the one who establishes the plans of the world, and the one who gives humanity the me, the divine laws containing agriculture, arts, sciences, and technical wisdom. While other gods demanded obedience, Enki did something that broke every rule of heaven. He taught. In Enki and Ninhursag, where the Garden of Dilmun is described, Enki is mentioned as the god who makes the land fertile and delivers the knowledge that allows humanity to prosper. For the Sumerians, Enki was not a celestial tyrant. He was the protector of humanity, the only one who saw potential where others only saw an imperfect creation. But that compassion sparked the first flame of divine conflict. Enlil, Lord of Heaven and Guardian of Order, according to Atrahasis and other texts, accuses Enki of elevating humankind too much, of breaking the boundaries separating gods from humans. In Atrahasis, Enlil declares that humanity has become too noisy, too aware, and demands their destruction. Meanwhile, Enki, within the same poem, breaks the mandate and helps humanity survive by warning Atrahasis about the flood. And so, the fracture begins. Punishment versus compassion, authority versus wisdom, obedience versus knowledge. Coders. Enki becomes the first forbidden master, the God who defied heaven to awaken human consciousness. If this topic pulls you in, Coda, remember, the channel has a full video titled, "What Mysteries Do the Ancient Gods Hide?" and the special episode, Enlil and Enki, the War That Divided the Sky, where we go even deeper into this conflict.
Lucifer in his original meaning, coders. Before religions turned him into a symbol of evil, the name Lucifer meant something completely different. In Isaiah 14:12, the Reina Valera 1960 translation uses the phrase Lucifer, son of the morning, which in Latin becomes Lucifer, literally, the bringer of light, the morning star, the brightness that breaks darkness just before dawn. That text does not speak of a demon, it does not mention Satan. It speaks of the king of Babylon, using poetic language to describe his fall. Originally, Lucifer was not a shadow. He was a luminous being, associated with clarity, awakening, spiritual illumination. His fall, the famous one everyone repeats, does not appear in any verse as a trip to hell. Not in Genesis, not in the Old Testament, not with fire nor demons. What does appear in Isaiah 14:12-15 is the idea of a being who ascends to heaven, who raises his throne, who wants to be like the Most High, and is therefore cast down. In essence, Coda, a story of disobedience to heavenly order, of a being who questions, who thinks, who desires something his superiors consider a threat. But over the centuries, that figure was transformed, reinterpreted, and finally demonized. What once symbolized light became the perfect shadow to maintain fear. So the real question is simple. Was the light he carried dangerous, or simply knowledge some didn't want us to have?
The Serpent of Eden. As a bringer of knowledge, coders. There's a detail in Eden almost no one pays attention to. In Genesis 3:1 we're told, "The serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field." Nothing else. It doesn't say it was a demon. It doesn't say it was Satan. It doesn't say it was a fallen spirit. Just the serpent. And yet she pronounces a phrase that would change human history forever. In Genesis 3:5, the serpent declares, "The day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened." And the most shocking part is that the Bible confirms exactly that. Genesis 3:7 says, "Then the eyes of both of them were opened." The serpent does not promise destruction. She promises vision, awakening. This matches perfectly with the archetype of the light bearer, the one who reveals what was hidden. Centuries later, in a symbolic reinterpretation, Revelation 12:9 describes the heavenly enemy as the ancient serpent, called the devil and Satan. But be careful, Coda. That verse belongs to a late apocalyptic text, not the original Genesis story. Genesis never says, "The serpent is Satan." That appears much later, when tradition tried to unify stories. And remember, in our Dilmun video we showed that in Sumerian mythology, the serpent is a symbol of wisdom, directly associated with Enki, the god who taught what was forbidden. 2 gardens, 2 cultures, 2 serpents, and one pattern, forbidden knowledge, the opening of the eyes, the spark certain gods did not want us to have.
Direct parallels between Enki and Lucifer. When we place the stories side by side and let them speak for themselves, a pattern emerges across cultures, languages, and religions. A pattern so precise it seems impossible to be coincidence. The pattern of the knowledge bearer. In Sumerian mythology, Enki is the god who reveals forbidden knowledge, agriculture, writing, mathematics, everything that turned clay into civilization. This is clearly described in Enki and the World Order, where he gives humanity the me, the powers of knowledge. And in biblical tradition, the original figure called Lucifer, bringer of light, is mentioned in Isaiah 14:12 as the morning star, a being associated not with darkness, but with illumination. Here the parallels become impossible to ignore. Enki teaches. Lucifer illuminates. Both awaken knowledge, and in both narratives, this becomes a crime. Enki defies Enlil by protecting humanity more than allowed. Isaiah's text portrays Lucifer as someone who, according to Isaiah 14:13-14, attempted to ascend, question, and break the heavenly hierarchy. Two beings who defy superior authority, and in both cases, punishment falls. Enki is accused of elevating humans too much. Lucifer, traditionally interpreted, is cast down to Sheol, as Isaiah 14:15 says, but there is a detail that unites them. Both Enki and Lucifer, in their original form, always appear on the side of humanity. Both represent awakening, independence, consciousness, the spark that allows us to see beyond imposed limits. Coders. These parallels don't claim they are the same character, but that different cultures told the same archetype, the forbidden master, the punished illuminator, the enemy of heaven, but the ally of human awakening.
Knowledge as a divine crime. Coders. Across world mythologies, a disturbing pattern emerges. When a being awakens humanity, heaven reacts with fury. Why? Because in ancient narratives, awakening humanity was considered rebellion. In Genesis 3, when the serpent declares in Genesis 3:5, "Your eyes will be opened," she describes an act of illumination, a wake-up call. And awakening changes the balance of power. Because knowledge always means one thing: freedom. And freedom means questioning, deciding, choosing, breaking the established order. That is why in so many ancient stories, heaven fears a conscious humanity. A humanity that thinks. A humanity no longer docile. This pattern repeats everywhere. In Greece, Prometheus steals fire, symbol of knowledge, and is punished eternally by the gods of Olympus. In Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl teaches agriculture, astronomy, and the arts, and for that falls into conflict with those who wanted humans in darkness. In Egypt, Thoth gives writing and wisdom, and is monitored as a threat to divine balance. In Hermetic tradition, Hermes brings sacred science, the same science some authorities labeled forbidden. The message is always the same. When a god teaches, another god becomes enraged. When one awakens, another tries to extinguish. Knowledge, the simple act of opening the eyes, is treated as a divine crime, because a human who knows no longer obeys the same way.
The archetype of the light-bearer, coders. After going through the Sumerian tablets, the biblical texts, and the oldest echoes of human memory, the conclusion is inevitable. Enki and Lucifer are not identical figures. They are the same archetype told with different names. The master who teaches, the bringer of light, the one who awakens humanity, the one who opens the eyes. Even if heaven prefers them closed, this was never a battle of good versus evil, not demons versus angels, not gods versus humans. It is a far deeper struggle: knowledge versus control, freedom versus obedience, awakening versus silence. Enki defied the god's mandate. Lucifer defied heavenly order. Both paid a price, because both ignited something that could never be extinguished: human consciousness. And that archetype, coder, that forbidden master, that punished illuminator, is the key to understanding the celestial war coming in the next chapters of our saga. Because before the gods fought among themselves, before the flood, before the rebellions of heaven, there was one crime that changed everything: teaching humans to think. And that crime still echoes today.